Hello and welcome to Gone to Shite. On this week's show, a couple of Gen Xers are going to discuss Taylor Swift, that young lady with her rock and roll music, annoying the neighbours and stuff. So yeah, I suppose I don't know because we never went off and looked it up, so there's probably millions of podcast episodes where it's old people talking about Taylor Swift.
Hey, who are you calling old, buddy?
You.
I'm not old.
Well, I'm not. I'm young. I'm still with it.
Yes, I'm still cool.
It's the kids.
Exactly.
who are no longer with
go.
it.
Yes.
Well, I suppose just to clarify before we kind of go on about Taylor, so the kind of music, if you haven't listened to other episodes of the podcast before, you don't know, it's to us like heavy metal, horror movies,
yes,
and other stuff.
Yes.
But so
you're not your typical Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah, wouldn't be
We're not
a typical
Swifties.
Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah.
I suppose over the last while, I think a lot of people who aren't really Taylor Swift fans have kind of got caught in this thing of kind of going, how is she after getting so... everyone knows who she is anyway. But it just seems that she's everywhere at the moment. And if you're not into Taylor Swift or don't follow pop music, I suppose it can be a bit, not jarring, but it's just a bit weird. Some people, it can seem like she's after coming out, even though she's been around for really forever. I suppose the last 20 years. I went I have to say, I suppose it was one of our friend's daughters who's young teenager.
Very young teenager. Suddenly became a major Swiftie.
Yeah, she's big into her.
And got her into vinyl as well. She started collecting vinyl because she wanted to buy Taylor Swift's album on vinyl. Yeah. We're like, what? What is this? Who is this artist that's making the young'uns go out and buy vinyl again?
So that's, I suppose, sparked my interest in kind of saying, we should actually give her a chance to listen to her, because the only songs I ever really heard would have been that... it's not Take It Off. Shake It Off, yeah. They sound really old.
Yeah, take it off there. Love.
But it wouldn't have been it wouldn't be familiar with any of her songs. So over the last 2 weeks, I suppose, Royal went off, listened to some of her albums. We looked at the eras, concert, looked at a few documentaries about her.
Yeah, you dove a good bit into it. You actually listened to a good few of bits of her discography and stuff. So if anyone was walking past and they were seeing this older metalhead, I suppose, sitting in there rocking out to Taylor Swift as he was, doing his terrifying drawings.
The one thing I will say, I suppose for people who wouldn't know, I've shit on a lot of music over the years.
Yes,
you'd think that would, we used to do a podcast with and I've always felt guilty because every kind of song or album that he talked about, he's like, oh, that's not good. That's...
Your favourite word was always, that's derivative.
Yeah, whereas a bit of a snob, I suppose, an idiot about music, a bit gatekeeper.
Yes, you are a bit gatekeeper, yeah. Name 3 songs.
Taylor Swift songs. My Anti-Hero, Bad Blood.
You named another one earlier on.
Folklore.
And Shake It Off. Is Folklore not an album?
It might be, I don't know. But no, because I've listened to it, I have actually, we decided to do this months ago. And then we kept pushing it off and pushing it. And it was, I remember listening to some of her albums going for a walk, and I was like, my God, this is shit. This is why are people listening to it? And I thought it was just it's just these kind of stories. It's rom-com kind of things being told.
Set to music.
And I'm glad I went back because I have a very, very different opinion now after giving a good listen to some of the stuff, which I'll share after you. What's your opinions on Taylor Swift?
Well, that's the thing. I was like, oh, well, I'm aware of her as some sort of a pop phenomenon and all the rest, but it never really crossed my radar too much. But then again, as you said, it was like friends' kids were suddenly turning into Swifties, and I was kind of like, sort of these kids are listening to it and they kind of have decent musical taste. So let's have a listen and see what they're getting into. So I had a bit of a listen to her. And she just seems like a genuinely nice young lady with positive messages and sort of empowerment of young girls and believe in yourself and all this kind of stuff. So I thought it was quite nice. And in fairness, most of her pop stuff is actually far more polished and more listenable than other pop shit that's in the charts.
Yeah,
and I'd be
without a
blatant
shadow.
in saying it, other stuff is shit in comparison.
It is, I think.
There's beautiful harmonies. It's got a kind of a
miles above,
nice
like,
80s kind of a vibe to it insofar as it's got your catchy hooks, it's got your sort of you know where it's going, and it's, I suppose as well, if you look at the songwriting, it's actually kind of the way the verses are structured is kind of clever, sort of there's one line will lead into it'll actually become part of the next line, so it's not all this like, I went to school, I am a fool. It's not this real, sort of basic sort of like rhyme and things and all the rest. I think there's intelligence, I suppose, behind the songwriting, and of course as well she writes her own songs, which is
this is the thing. One of the documentaries, obviously you didn't know anything really about Taylor Swift beforehand, but her parents were extremely supportive of her from when she was very, very young.
She basically started performing very young.
Yeah, very young, but she wasn't someone that fucking was like an overnight. She lost loads of talent competition. She wasn't, but she worked hard at it. As a child, she worked very hard at it. And then she had, I think it was 12 or 13, she got a job with a record company as a songwriter.
Stunning,
they didn't think that she was. This is the gas thing about it, looking back at it. They didn't think she was good enough to be like a star in her own right, but she's been writing songs from a very young age. So people might be familiar with the 10,000 hour theory, where kind of like if you do anything for 10,000 hours,
suddenly you're an expert
at it. So going by that theory alone, she's more than that.
More than capable.
I think with anyone, especially the younger you are, I suppose that doesn't. You could have a million other people in the same position and they'd be writing shit,
the same and
they wouldn't have had the same career as her. So it's about her dedication, I think, and kind of how you have to have talent there as well. It doesn't matter how hard you work if you don't have the talent.
Yeah, if you don't have
there as well with something like that, it ain't gonna fucking hit home. But she's been doing it so young, and then I think it was around when she was 15. She decided, I remember, I think it was some record executive at the time saying the balls on someone at that age to turn around and go, you know what, I'm packing my job in. I'm not doing it. I want to do my own thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to be told what I'm
supposed to do. Yeah, and they were like,
anymore.
Fucking hell, a 15-year-old girl
doing that, yeah.
And it's taken her, I think she's in her, is she mid-30s or late 30s or something?
I don't know, you're the Swiftie.
Well, I'm not the Swiftie, but so it's like she's had a career for over 20 years, I suppose, and God knows how many albums. So she's, I think, a master of her craft with it. And like you said there with the 80s songs, because that's when it clicked with me, where it was like, why do people like her so much? And then when I was listening to it, it was like, I really like these songs.
Yeah, they're radio friendly, they're catchy, they've got a nice little hook, you can sing along, they've got the couple of the anthemic sort of,
But they have that 80s structure to them where it's hard to kind of describe, but there's something about songs in the 80s where it just follow that part, like chorus. Well, you wouldn't have the chorus until the second verse. And there was something about, and just the build up to it, which I don't know, it seemed to have been forgotten about the last 20 years.
And the harmonies as well, as in sort of, she will sing the lead line and you'll have what is basically a chorus of other female voices coming in and repeating the main line of the chorus. You've got this sort of sort of chant and callback kind of thing, that's a good motif, I suppose, from a lot of 80s songs where you'd always have the harmony going in the background. If you want to visualise it, Robert Palmer is Addicted to Love. The way you always had a gang of women in the background singing along kind of thing. And it has that whole thing going on where the harmonies work really well and they're just nicely crafted and they're very listenable too. They're tuneful, There's something as well lyrically, I think. Obviously you can hear what she's singing. Yeah. But the lyrics are very, very I really like that Anti-Hero song. I think it's kind of, and especially there was one bit where I can't remember the exact line, but it's where she was like, I have a dream that my daughter-in-law kills me for the inheritance or something like that. Or I just think it's very funny and it's just weird. Yeah, and very self-reflective, I suppose, as well, Well, as well, there is, I don't know if it was on that album or if it was on another album where a lot of it's about her kind of talking about herself being a narcissist and kind of all these negative or maybe it's a character that she's created. Yeah. I don't know. This is a thing with a lot of her where people say,
well, she sings about her exes and she sings about it, but I don't know, there was part of me where I think it's like, she's a songwriter, she's creating these characters that she's singing about. Maybe there's a bit of her in
which I suppose everyone's always saying right about what you know about,
But it was just, I don't know, some of the lyrics and some of the things where if it was about her, I thought that it was very brave,
very
especially
honest,
for a pop. Very,
so.
very honest. Where it'd be easy for someone at that level to just keep doing the same shit over and over and over again and putting on an image.
But I suppose, sort of a lot of stereotypical love song or whatever. But I mean, whereas it's like, okay, she's singing about an ex and kind of like, I thought we'd be there together forever and you were this and you were that and you went, but equally she's like, well, I had my faults in the relationship too. I did this and I didn't behave correctly as such. So those always kind of come out as well. So it's not your typical love song insofar as like, oh, how could you love me and leave me and you broke my heart. It's like, yeah, but I kind of broke yours too as well,
Well, that's what there's a bit of swearing in some of this, there's a bit of an edge to some of it. It's not like it's
she's wholesome, but she's not like squeaky clean. I suppose is probably the best.
I think she's honest.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone fucking says about it. You cannot maintain, if that's not your real personality, you cannot maintain that. Look at all the stars over the years where fucking something. Tom Cruise, although I think Tom Cruise is probably a really, really nice guy. Like, he didn't come across as an ass, so he never came across as nasty. It's just people went,
weird.
He's fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the guy's excitable about stuff. Like, I'm not going to say anything about like what his religious beliefs are or like that. That's
his own thing.
Yeah, that's his own thing. But it's, but like, I mean, other people like Louis C.K. Harvey Weinstein and
you're putting her in the same sentence as all this. No, but she's like fucking abusing people.
There's people, but you always hear stories about like James Corden. Like
or even as you were saying, just it reminded me with Tom Cruise there, Ellen DeGeneres, like she puts across this wholesome kind of thing, and then she's a nightmare behind the scenes.
It comes out eventually, and I don't think you can't do that every night in front of people. People aren't that stupid. Like, people are easily led to a certain degree, but they're not that stupid. And I think as well, younger kids or teenagers, particular, they're always on the lookout for cracks
in authenticity. That's a really hard word.
So I think
if
she wasn't who she says she is, it would have came out a long time ago. You're always going to have people saying, oh, she's a fucking distant. We were looking at, there was a documentary on Netflix. But that is the thing, there
are people trying to tear her down like left, right and centre at the moment, Well, we'll get onto that.
I don't understand, but remember we were looking at that documentary on Netflix about her. It might be Miss Americana or something like that. And I suppose the main part of that documentary was dealing with her coming out with saying, look, I want to actually have my voice heard. I think it was coming up towards the first election with Trump running for president, where she wanted to voice her opinion on things, and like a lot of people are saying to her, don't do it, it'll be career suicide, you should remain impartial.
That's it, steer clear of voicing any opinions because you'll alienate some of your fans.
So 50% of people, you're going to lose instantly 50% of, and her whole thing was, well, look, I don't agree with these politics. I should be able to say what I want. And she did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is what I believe in, and I think this is right, and I think like people can take from it what they want, but she, in fairness to her, she's kind of like, she said something and suddenly there was a massive rush to the polls to actually kind of like get registered and get on the electoral register.
Which is a good thing, no matter what side you fall on.
You can just see it, like, I mean, it's a huge problem at the moment. Young people are just not coming, they're not interested in voting because they don't see it as making a difference. They don't see their voices being heard. So when you have somebody like that does come out, somebody you respect and admire, I suppose, saying, look, your voice does matter, and like, this is what I think, and it might be the same as what you think, so why don't we all say what we think together?
It gets people engaged in politics. Like I was saying, regardless on whose side you're on, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, like, you get people looking into issues and getting registered.
Of course, now you have like a lot of the stuff where they're saying that she's psyops, kind of like trying to kind of, where it's like fucking, like, I mean, you're going to have. She's definitely not. But it's just bizarre. And to a certain point, like looking at that Miss Americana documentary, what I kind of got from her was that she's still kind of sheltered to a certain degree, which I think anyone at that level of fame, you nearly have to be away from people. It's not like she can't go shopping in like a fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
She can't have, so I think she's in a very close area. And as well, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I mean, she got the record, the rights to a lot of her records back a while ago, and I think there was stuff where she was saying that there might have been. So I don't know if there was like assault, but there was definitely bullying from the producer or her manager and stuff. And I don't know if that's still ongoing. I'm not 100% like, I'm not up on all that kind of stuff with her, but like she took a stand for all that, and she's stood up against Spotify and Apple before about like streaming royalties, and I have a funny feeling she might do something like that again.
Yeah,
I think she's one of these people that she's probably the most powerful pop star. Well, say I won't even say pop star, say musician at the moment, but she seems to be wielding it for good.
That's it. I know she hasn't turned to the dark side or anything like that yet. No. She's trying to affect change, as positive change, I suppose, for other musicians as well as herself. She's like, well, no, I don't agree with artists only getting like 0.000.1% of a fucking cent per stream. It's like, no, I'm just not giving you my catalogue. That's it. You're not getting it. Fans can go and they can access it elsewhere, and hopefully other musicians then as well will get paid more.
And like what you were saying at the start as well, that she seems to have this strategy at the moment. Another thing I read up on a little bit, but I didn't really quite understand it because I don't get it with all the different albums, but to encourage people to buy physical media, that there's only certain songs available on certain releases. So you have to buy the physical kind of thing to hear certain, so you're not going to hear them on streaming, which I think is great. Absolutely. Now, other people might say, oh, you're kind of, but it's not, you're paying, a lot of people are paying for Spotify, so you're listening to the music for fucking free. It's the ads are paying for the person, and then that person isn't really getting much out of the streaming anyway.
And as well, I mean, you know, it's the whole thing, we've kind of discussed this before. If you love a particular album or something like that, all of a sudden the rights run out, or the artist takes it off, or Spotify shuts it down, you lose that album. That's it. Yeah. You don't have any access to it. But like, say, for the likes of ourselves who do pay for streaming kind of services, we've been paying monthly all along, and then all of a sudden the music that you want is gone.
Oh, there's a lot of music, like High on Fire. I think we went over to YouTube Premium at the moment. There's certain High on Fire albums that there's like one song and you're just like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at least if you buy the physical media, you have that song, and that's it. Because I've seen it. Even something as simple as Metallica. You know, if they put on a live show, their opening theme tune obviously is a good debate. You know, it's around the good debate. It's Ennio Morricone. Some of the streaming services, it's taken out and it's just a gap or it's just blank or whatever. Whereas if you buy the physical media, you have the full experience.
It's when you're actually supporting the artist properly.
Exactly, directly.
You're better off giving fucking 20 quid to an artist, even if it's only 20 quid once a year, instead of listen to their stuff on streaming and they're getting maybe a penny out of like fucking 100 listens that you're getting.
And I think it's a smart marketing strategy as well on her behalf to get her fans into listening to music and to understand. Like, I mean, I know you said it before, like the streaming kind of platforms you end up just like hopping from one song to the next. You end up just going through playlists, or you end up going for just the biggest hits or whatever. Whereas the whole experience of music, artists spend a lot of time putting together their albums so it all hangs together the way they want.
Essentially, or a TV series. It's like just looking at one episode or middle episode.
But as well, I think it does give you a deeper appreciation for music, because I mean, Jesus, we complained about it often enough. You discover a band when you're, you know, a teenager or whatever, and you save up your money, you go down to the record shop, you buy the album, you get it home, and it's like, oh, I only like that one song that I did hear on the radio. But you persevere because you have to spend your money, and then all of a sudden you kind of appreciate it. Because I mean, I was always like that. I'd listen to kind of a whole album once and I'd be kind of like, oh, I don't really like that. And then it's like upon repeated listening, you suddenly start to appreciate the music. And I think that's probably something that's missing nowadays. Everyone's attention span is so short.
Well, especially with TikTok, it's even worse.
It's like 30-second clips basically. So at least this way, Swift fans, I suppose, they're listening to the kind of the album as a whole. They're getting the whole message, and they're learning how to sit down and appreciate music as opposed to
there's something as well about just having the physical thing in your hand. I think it puts more weight and more importance on like music as an actual thing, an item, instead of just, it's just this stuff to listen to in the background. It's you're holding it in your hand. And like, I mean, it is the thing, it's streaming is the death nail for fucking everything. Unfortunately, it fucking is. Like, Hollywood and all that are starting to wake up to that now at the moment, where they're starting to say we need to get people to buy physical media again, because they're not making money from people aren't going to the cinema, and then they're not making money from streaming. They're making bits, but nowhere near as enough. So what happens is with the likes of Hollywood, if they're not making money on smaller things,
They just won't make them
they
anymore.
just won't make them. Yeah, so all of a
They're
sudden
losing all this whole level of art.
Yeah, all that you're going to get is stuff like Marvel movies coming out. They're not even going to support the likes of Martin Scorsese.
No,
and
it's
stuff.
going to be. I don't mean to be sneery or anything like that, but it's lowest common
It will
denominator.
be the lowest common denominator.
So it's like mass appeal to everyone. So you're just going to get these vapid sort of like colourless blockbusters that are just like, oh yeah, it's just, they'll appeal to adults, they'll appeal to children, it's middle of the road, and it's kind of, you're getting down to idiocracy levels then, I think, as well, you know?
Well, like even even though I did like it, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, I did really like it. It's on that Marvel kind of thing where it's like loads of quips and like the characters are straight out of Marvel, or even the new suit, or not super fucking, the new Star Wars stuff. And it's like, although it's a good one, but there's plenty of bad movies that follow that version because they try and follow. And this is all that you're going to get. And like, I mean, that's happened with music. But I think music, because it's so much easier for people to make their own music at home and self-release, and you have stuff like Bandcamp and all that.
Yeah.
But those people, they're not making, no one's making fucking money on music at the moment. It's streaming. Spotify has fucking, and it's going to get bad. It's like it's going to get very, very bad. So you need people like Taylor Swift.
That's it, because I mean, even as it stands, like, I mean, people are being priced out of concerts even. Like, before people go, well, fucking, I'll support my artist somehow. I'll go and I'll see them play when they roll through a town. I'll buy some of their merch. But tickets, like, I mean, we've only seen it. Pearl Jam and AC/DC are playing in Ireland soon. Their tickets are going for like €300 and €400 each. Each, like, not even for a pair. And like, I've heard of reselling going up to like 5,000 for a ticket. It's bananas.
It's ridiculous. Like, it will get to the point where people just go, you know what, fuck it. I'm not going.
I can't go to concerts. If you're not going to the concerts, you're not going to seek out the merch. So nobody's going to go to any of these bands, and it's going to keep on getting this way where all of a sudden music is for the mega rich and the elite, where it's like,
and it'll be only the big bands, because even at the moment, what's after happening is the smaller bands, they're priced out of touring, because over in America and some venues around Europe, whereas like bands, they'd barely break even before, but they'd make money from their merch that'll help them kind of going. So now a lot of venues, and it's mainly Ticketmaster or Live Nation, like they're the same company. They're saying, we want 50% or 70% in some cases of your merch. And not even the fucking kind of like
profits of it.
The profits, the whole thing. So it's like, if you're getting a t-shirt made, you're selling for $20 before. It's probably costing you $10, maybe $15 for the t-shirt. So you're getting 5 off that. If they're looking for 75, that's 15. So you're fucking losing money.
You're losing money straight away.
So what's the point? And like, I mean, there's a lot of bigger or medium-sized bands. Like Anthrax had to cancel tours.
Yeah, I was just about to mention them. Like, it's not just the small underground or unknown bands. I mean, Anthrax are a big band from the 80s.
It will start hitting all.
But
it will start hitting all these mid-tier bands.
Yeah.
So the likes of, I think this is why you're seeing a lot of festivals have more bands, because bands are like, fuck, we can't actually go out tour, and we can do the festival. We'll
do one festival, so
we can come for a month play in all these festivals, which is going to get very boring, because you're going to see the same fucking bands every year at the same festivals. And people are going to go, you know what, fuck this as well. It's getting too expensive, because they're going to want more money if they're not making money throughout the year. But even I've heard of festivals like Download. Now, some people probably say, oh, that's a load of bollocks. Some bands have to pay to play it. I've heard kind of from, well, not from, but I've heard about bands that they had to pay £10,000 just to get
on the bill. Like, to get on the exposure, bill.
And then they're not allowed to sell their merch. Because that's seen as, oh, well, if you sell your merch, then we can't sell our Download fucking things.
Exactly.
So, like, I mean, Download wouldn't be the only festival doing that.
That's just an example, because you're following it a bit at the moment. But Glastonbury, Redden, Leeds, any of the bigger ones, like, and of course there's all the European ones, Grasspop, you know, fucking Rock am Ring, all of the big ones, you know, Hellfest. You know, Hellfest is probably the last decent kind of festival, I think.
They'll all get fucking swallowed up. But
you're looking then to the likes, the trouble is you're looking at the smaller festivals like Bloodstock or Arctangent coming up, but they will probably end up going the same way again.
Of course they will, because they'll have to
survive, basically,
It happens to all of them. I think one of the few that'll probably keep going is the one over in fucking Holland.
The fucking
Roadburn, because that is like run by artists. And it's very much, people have a look up the people that aren't familiar with Roadburn, but they normally have, say, it could be someone from Converge one year, someone from Converge
curated it.
So it's a lot of post-hardcore stuff. I think I'm not. I might be fucking dreaming, but I think some of the guys from Blood Incantation might have something to do with it this year coming up. Or that might be wishful thinking. But so it's like that.
Well, you went off talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
It's a far cry from
Taylor
fucking
Swift to Blood
Roadburn.
Incantation. But yeah, I suppose with someone like Taylor Swift that can try and get people into physical media, because people that are buying Taylor Swift things, they're probably more likely to go in and say, when you start buying it, say, I'm going to start collecting vinyl.
That's it as well. And I think as well, her typical audience, I suppose, if you're talking about teenagers, if they get into something, it's like, yes, I am in, I am 100% in, and I want to know all about it, and I want to buy everything. I'll buy the t-shirt, I'll buy the birthday cake if she releases, I'll buy the albums, I'll go up collecting things, I'll read about her. So it's like, it's dedication, I suppose, because that's what teenage years are all about. They're about like getting mad into something and being a super fan.
It nearly kind of trains you as well, like you were saying with the super fan thing, but like how to appreciate music.
Yeah.
As well, that there's more than just the listening aspect, where it's kind
that's
of
the thing. I mean, if you have your album, your CD, or your vinyl, or whatever it happens to be, you're sitting there, you're getting the sort of the little booklet with it, you're getting like the lyrics printed, you suddenly notice, it's not just, you kind of read through and you go, the people they're thanking, you suddenly realise there's a whole team of people, like producers and, all of this, and it's been mastered here and they did it in that studio and they, they thanked this person. So you suddenly realise how much goes into making an album. It's not just like, it appears and that's it, like, and suddenly people are wealthy.
I think when I was reading up of Taylor Swift online, there was people, because when we were looking at the eras thing, there was some of it looked kind of lip synced. And I was like, that doesn't seem like something that someone like her would do, because I've seen her like where it's quite obvious that she is performing live. And sure, it's the same as any of the big shows. There is a certain amount where it's not necessarily lip sync, but they have backing tracks and stuff. Which, fair, if you're running around, you can't. But like, I mean, she was someone like Metallica used to do it as well, showing them nearly training before they go out, like practicing before they go out. And partly she was doing this where because like that era's tour was like, it's 3 hours, I think we saw, but it's 3.5 hours of a show.
Big stage, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of costume changes, there's a lot of set changes.
That's like taxing, physically taxing to do something like that. Like, Jesus, I couldn't do it once a month. But like, I mean, apparently they were saying there was videos of her singing on treadmills to try and, train.
To be able to sing and stride around the stage, run at the same time. Like.
Now,
that's if I'm walking and talking to somebody, I get out of breath fucking having a conversation walking, like.
Now, I have to say, with that Eras tour, I thought it was very fucking kind of... It was like... I've seen better concerts insofar as kind of like spectacle. Like, people, and it's fucking... I'd never thought I'd say this. Probably one of the best concerts I've seen for a spectacle was Kiss.
Yeah.
Which really surprised me because I did not like Kiss. And with it, but I was, and especially that was like a bunch of 70-year-old men flying through the fucking air, shooting fucking fireworks out of their dicks, so it's like, compare that to Taylor Swift's thing, it was kind of like, but Taylor Swift's thing, to cover her whole career nearly.
And I mean, like it was, she, as I said, the costume, she had a lot of dancers as well, obviously, and they're kind of, that's what I thought was nice as well. It was almost like there was a little mini play happening at the same time. And it was like, say if she was singing a song, like, I mean, she'd take it right back down to herself and supposedly her ex sitting at the end of a table and they're like not talking to each other and she's kind of acting it out. And then like got a big number, all the dancers are like kind of joining in. But I actually thought that was kind of nice. It's almost like theatre.
Well, it's having the appropriateness for the music, and as well about what she's into. So her shooting through the sky, shooting fucking rockets and kind of like UFOs going overhead, and it'd be a bit
her thing is like they had a lovely fairy tale kind of a woodsy kind of like cabin, and she's sitting on the roof and looking at the stars, strumming her guitar and all that kind of. So that's the kind of that's what your audience wants, that's what you want, and that's have it like that. She doesn't need to have like fucking massive fireworks or anything like that.
Like we looked at the whole thing, which was it 3 hours?
Coming up on it, now you started skimming through.
Yeah, we started skimming through a little bit because we did start. It's the same as anything. You need to know all the songs. Yeah. But like we paid a lot more attention to, and the bits that we were watching went by fast.
Yeah, and they were enjoyable as well. It's sort of I'd liken it to sort of a teenage girl's version of like WWE. I don't know, that's what it struck me
Well,
as.
this isn't WWE.
Yeah. But it's just, sort of there's all these characters and sort of, the whole backstory and you're rooting for her and you're, and I think as well, I would imagine she has the same set of dancers as well because they all appear throughout all of the songs as well.
I think she works with the same people the whole time.
So like if you're a fan of like Taylor Swift, you probably are like, oh, my favourite dancer is there on the left and oh look, that one is there, and you start to build up this familiarity and a relationship in your head with him, I suppose, and you're just like, oh yeah, great, it's
And I suppose kind of like this is probably where she got like really kind of like probably into the fucking kind of like the press following her, where it seems like that no matter where you go, there's Taylor Swift is there, probably with the Eras tour with it, because there was a lot of publicity around that and pushing it, and as well there was a whole thing about people trying to get tickets for it.
Oh yeah, God yeah.
With it, and it's like the way people are talking about her, some people you'd swear she was the Antichrist. Which it's fucking
I don't understand. She's going out with what? An American footballer.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name because I'm not into American football at all.
I know he's got a big beard.
So a big beard American football player. But like people seem to be losing their absolute minds that she's daring to turn up to games and sit in the audience and cheer her boyfriend on. Yeah. But that's the norm for every like girlfriend, boyfriend of somebody who is doing something. You go and you cheer him along. And they're like, how dare she? And look, she's ruining
the other players' wives and girlfriends go to it as well. It's just that they're not Taylor Swift. So
they're not necessarily famous in their own right, but it's kind of, she's taking the spot and how dare she? And she's invading this and she's ruining it. And it's like, how is she ruining it by just fucking existing?
Do you think they'd be happy as well saying, look, there's probably a bunch of people that would never look at our sport. And they might, not everyone that looks at it for Taylor Swift is going to go, wow, I'm an American football fan now. But there's going to be some people that go, this is actually really cool. I really like it. I'm enjoying
this, I'll pick a team and I'll start to support them as well, But I don't understand this absolute hatred of her. And again, I suppose it goes back to the whole thing, and I don't like to be harping on about like feminist things or anything like that, but it's about this whole concept of women taking up space. I don't like all this sort of psychobabble talk or anything like that, but it is, women are kind of always expected to minimise yourself. You're not important to you, don't pull focus or don't stand there and demand something. It's like, if we tell you sit down kind of a thing. But she's just like, she just seems to be like planting her 2 feet and go, no, I'm here, I'm that, sort of deal with it. I am my own person, I am in my own right. I have my own I make my own money. I don't need your money. It's not as if I'm hanging out with this guy.
Like basketball games, you got like all these fucking kind of, say, like Spike Lee. I know it used to be always about, when you'd have
celebrities.
Celebrities there, and Jack Nicholson, and people would be always like, oh yeah,
go to him, take a shot of him in the crowd and all the rest.
Whereas, I would agree with you with Taylor Swift all of a sudden. And one of the things that I did quite like actually, which I thought was kind of funny, was this to tell you how big she's fucking after getting. How I came across it a while ago was there was a lot of talk saying that she's probably going to be in the new Deadpool movie, or in the new X-Men run, because Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively went along with her to one of the football matches, but they were like nearly part of her entourage. Ryan Reynolds was nearly part of her entourage. And it was kind of really funny looking at it, because it was like him just tagging along. And I'd say it was a thing where he's going along to try and say, oh, could you please do that? Now, she'd be fucking fantastic as Dazzler. The character, I don't know, because Dazzler was this disco star, which is nearly a bit of a throwaway character. So it could be good to see. You could see her like Brad Pitt doing the cameo in the other Deadpool thing. But it was really for someone who's of Ryan Reynolds' level of fame.
Stature,
he was really just like part of the entourage. He was tagging along, and it was a bit kind of fucking, this is how big this woman is now, that these people are just, it must be weird, because she comes across as kind of grounded, but to have all these fucking people,
swarming around and following around in your wake and all the rest. But I mean, again, she's there and she's trying to live her life, as I say, going to a football match to support her boyfriend or whatever. And like, I mean, could you imagine having that level of scrutiny on you the whole time? The whole world is looking at you. If you so much as fucking scratch your nose, oh, Taylor Swift has like a cocaine problem and she was seen brushing her, you can do nothing. Only the press are there to speculate. And you can't do anything because the press are there waiting for you to fall as well.
A lot of people that have been in that position have fucking kind of like, they've
cracked up.
Yeah, they've cracked up. They've had their lives. Britney Spears, I know Britney Spears probably had other issues beforehand, but Jesus Christ, all that fame
It's
and
just the
limelight.
pressure of that, exactly.
And then
you're
the poor
constantly-
girl when she fucking, well, a woman now, but like when she did have her breakdown and stuff, and people filming her and kind of
and
laughing
laughing
about
about
it.
it, yeah,
And,
no
you know, there was
sympathy or
no
anything like
It's the
that.
same with Ezra Miller there a while ago. I think the guy who played Flash. Now, he did get up to some fucking
Weird shit.
like and stuff, but it's quite obvious there was something wrong. And it's like, instead of kind of just leaving, like with Kanye West, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you know, and kind of people should be like, we need to get this person away from all these yes men and fucking get him medical help.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's like your whole sort of your worst moments are just like being played out on the world stage and, you know, under a spotlight. Like, you know, imagine if you're just like a normal person going through a period of like, I don't know, depression or stress or, you know, just sort of any kind of mental, and imagine every time something happened, it was reported on the news. It's all over the internet. You've got TMZ following you around. There's like articles being written about you. Imagine how much
There's
worse
no
that would make your
escaping it,
mental health as well. Like just knowing that every move is being scrutinised and examined.
And that's the thing. She
speculated on.
seems, well, we don't know, kind of like, but she seems to have so
And of course,
far.
we're doing exactly the same thing now. We're just like, hey, well, let's talk about that Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but we're not like, oh, let's try and drive her insane.
Yeah.
But you know, she seems to be after kind of avoiding a lot of those the things, the pitfalls.
Yeah, rising above kind of a thing, I suppose, as well, or not letting
With
it
it, and
affect
not
her.
like, it's not like she's going to end up like Whitney Houston or anything. But one of the things that I would be really, really scared about is like with all these MAGA people at the moment, that like you might get some guy that's
Some
like,
nut job is like,
she's
I'll
a
take
fucking-
her. Yeah.
Yes, or CIA psyop fucking agent that's trying to fucking tear down the American, you know.
Yeah, she'd end up like John Lennon or something like that.
Yeah.
Some lunatic just come up and, well, I'll take you out. Kind of
Yeah,
thing. But-
like, you know, hopefully.
But that's
nothing like
the
that
whole,
fucking,
that's
but
the trouble though with the way America has gone at the moment. Like anybody could be, you know, it's just, people are gone to such an extreme that it's kind of like you get all these people who are like, oh yeah, I'll go out and I'll solve the problems with like violence and death and gunfire and God knows
Well, I
what.
think
like.
it's the press have a lot to answer for. The press, like, not that the press was never perfect, but there used to be some semblance of like, let's not spread rumours, let's not cover some
Let's
things.
actually have fact check and stuff.
There could
like
be
that, yeah.
repercussions to us, where nowadays there doesn't seem to be, where they're just like, no, because of the 24-hour news cycle, it's just having that quick fucking kind of
It
like
is,
hit.
and there used to always be a sort of.
There used to be
it's-
journalistic integrity.
Well, I was going to say there is like a code of honour as well. Like, I mean, even stuff like sort of reporting on suicide, it was always a thing of like you try and avoid sort of like mentioning it too much because you don't want to glorify it and you don't want to have other people that are feeling vulnerable following suit. So there's always like codes of practice around how to report certain things. But it just seems to be gone now. It's just like, oh, let's go for like the blood and guts and let's go for the most like fucking tabloidy headline we can and let's get all the information out there. And fuck if it's true. Like if it's not true, sure we'll throw an old apology down the line, but the damage is already done. Like,
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
that's the thing with stuff like this, stuff the way that the press are covering Taylor Swift at the moment with stuff. They're the ones that are causing it. Like, I mean, and like there are people out there that are unwell and that sometimes certain things they'll see, and if they see it on the telly, they'll think it's true and they might act on it. I think you have to, if you're in that position, I'm not saying about don't report on stuff, but there's a certain way that you report and certain things, stuff like that. It's fucking neither here nor there. It's not true. Why would you fucking kind of keep it? And why, you know, it's just generating hatred for the sake of getting people to watch them because she's
and
a
it's
big,
spinning. I don't want to call it fake news, but it is spinning a narrative, and you're just like it's like somebody trying to tell a story to themselves to try and prove how how sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Victimized, I suppose they are. It's like, oh look, you know, sort of you and me, we're the same, and you know our way of life is going to be gone soon because all of these other people are going out there and they're trying to ruin our way of life, and it's kind of like, stop spinning shit to suit your weird narrative and stop dragging people in that don't need to be dragged in.
People just want to make money nowadays with stuff like that. Whereas before, I think there was journalistic integrity where it was like, no, we have to report on the news, and you had journalists that were there to try, you know.
But the trouble was, not the trouble, I should say. The good thing was, news outlets did try to be held to a higher.
Well, that was it. If there was stuff like this even 10 years ago,
they were
people would be
trying
like,
to give the unbiased middle path. It was like you either, and it is a thing. Like, I mean, it still happens today. I know myself in Irish media. If you give one side of an argument airtime, you have to give the opposite side a similar airtime, so you're not seen to be swayed.
Most newspapers now, you will like say stuff like newspaper like The Guardian is like the people say it's left wing, and it's like. it used to be liberal, but like you get a rounded kind of thing. Now it is very much kind of like just one side. It's the same. It should be impartial. Like news should be impartial.
That's what I mean. It should be unbiased. It should be just here is the news. But of course, everything nowadays is like it's an opinion column. It's a thought piece. It's this. It's that. It's the other. So you've got you do have the likes of the Guardian on the left, and then you've got like the Sun or the Mirror or whatever on.
But it's the same as like say with surveys or anything like that. We used to do this. Like I studied psychology,
statistics,
where it's like you always see who paid for to see kind of where the money is coming from, why
the results are the way they are,
and it's the same with newspapers. You have to look at who owns the fucking newspaper or who owns the news channel. Who are they affiliated to? What's the because there's like constant, there's very little impartiality on it. But that's a fucking for anyone who's really interested in it. There's a guy called Andrew Callahan, I think it's called Channel 5. He has it on YouTube. He does like really good like mini documentaries about stuff. But he did a documentary for HBO about the insurrection or whatever. It was January 6th over in America. And basically he was there for it leading up to it. There was no politics involved. What you had is likes of Alex Jones, who would fucking whatever way he could make money, he'd fucking say he'd. And you had a lot of other people that were there, like with the MAGA things. All these people, they were just there to make money. To wind people up and make money. There was one guy who was making millions from selling MAGA hats. He was also selling fucking hats to the other side. For the other side
as well, supporting it, And then you have just your general run-of-the-mill weirdos as well. There was some guy I seem to remember, he's there shouting about penises and foreskin or something.
But those were the normal people. But it was like who riled all these people up were people that were there just to make money. Yeah. They didn't give a fuck what had happened or what. They didn't even realise.
It happened, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens so long as we make money off it.
You're seeing it now a lot at the moment is you got like all these politicians like Liz Truss over in England who failed miserably in England.
Yeah.
Has no career.
Famously ahead of lettuce and lasted her tenure.
Moron. Appearing now over at MAGA rallies over in America just because they're trying to jump on with the right wing. They will be left wing or right. None of these people, no politician nowadays, they're not worth fucking anything. They've no scruples. It's just they will go wherever they think they can make money.
And hilariously as well, she was asked about sort of few pressing questions and all the rest. And it's like, hey, you've just tanked England's economy. What are you doing over here? Why would people want to listen to you? And she just stood there smiling like a fucking creepy. I was going to say goon, but goon has taken on a very different meaning nowadays. But so I have to stop using that.
Bringing that to kind of like, say, with the whole music thing or with Taylor Swift, it's like this is where you have to be really careful with these fucking people because they're trying to make money and get views and get people looking at their news channel. Because they know people are looking at things about Taylor Swift and they are not taking into account the repercussions of their actions or what could happen to something. They don't fucking care about.
That sounds a bit hypocritical. They're like, oh, they're talking about Taylor Swift. And it's like, you were talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but we're talking about in... but we're meant to be an opinion piece. We're not a news channel. No one's going to fucking kind of like, let's listen to a fucking podcast called Gone to Shite.
For our unbiased news. True.
But, it's like, it's these people, they should be held accountable, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing, sure. I mean, that was always something that used to crack me up, like Fox News. Everywhere, like, sort of Rupert Murdoch, all that kind of stuff. If you declare yourself to be a news channel in other countries, England, Australia or whatever, you have to like commit to reporting the news. In America, it's referred to as an entertainment channel because
it's referred to as an entertainment channel worldwide. That's how they get. They're not a news channel. They're just an entertainment channel. And as well, you have Rupert Murdoch owns fucking Sky. There's Rupert Murdoch, I think, owns 90% of the media in the world now. It's
where are you getting your news from? It's not exactly from different sources,
So, but that's
I know we're after getting again very off Taylor Swift there again. But I liked her costumes, I have to say. I thought they were lovely and spangly.
I can't really.
Well, I thought the opening was very good. Do you remember they had the opening with these big, massive peacocky kind of feathers? No. Do you remember? No. Okay. But I thought that I just thought they were nice costumes. They were becoming of a young lady of that age. They weren't like, oh my God, look at my boobs hanging out like that. But they were nice and revealing.
Yeah, that's the thing. She wasn't like fucking done up like
an absolute tramp, basically, I suppose. But she was still, like, I mean, it was absolutely appropriate for, there was legs out, there was arms out, there was backs out, but it all looked quite tasteful and quite nice.
Well, it's the thing kind of wrapping up with here. So one of the things that, like, after we listened to her and we kind of went, that wasn't too bad at all. I think she's having a very positive impact on music because a while ago, like
there was very little guitars and pianos being used in popular music, and all of a sudden we're seeing a bit of a resurgence in guitar music.
But
and
it was
piano
all
music.
that like terrible trap stuff. That was like a minute and a half song where it's just like
somebody mumbling the same thing, with a beat behind it.
You know, and it was just like, oh my god. But even like a lot of the pop music was. But now it seems when we listened to, I think it was the top 100 in Ireland we went through.
We're actually quite surprised, there was a lot of singer-songwriters coming back into the charts. There was a lot of actual songwriting, I suppose, rather than, as you say, like, we'll just take a minute and a half, we'll throw a beat down, we'll have one little hook and that's it.
And there was 2 female rappers. Was it Cardi B or... Was it
Doja Cat?
Doja Cat,
there was another one as well, but they're very like Missy Elliott, I suppose.
Stallion, Megan Thee Stallion, was it?
Yes, something like that. I see, look at how old we are. Like, what are their names?
But they were fucking brilliant. They were really weird, really weird. I was not expecting it at all.
But they were Missy Elliott weird tours. Kind of like, this is actually really cool. This is, and again, it was nice. But it's like, the lyrics are hilarious.
Was one of them kind of like something about kind of like you stupid bitch or something like that? Or?
Yeah, it was like, I do what I want, you stupid bitch.
It
was almost like Cartman singing a song.
But they were fucking brilliant. Like, I remember listening to it, I was going like, because I quite like rap, but I'd never listened to kind of commercial rap at all.
But again, it's nice to see strong, empowered women that are just really like, I'll do what I want to, fucking,
But like, I mean, it's much better than like shit that Kanye West is putting out already. You know, I was really, really, really surprised by it. I was not expecting.
I know we were expecting to skip through, just going, oh God, this is rubbish. But I actually sat down and listened to quite a lot of the top 100.
Now, there's a couple of Substacks that I'm subscribed to as well, which they're basically newsletters, and I didn't read it, but I glanced through where it was like someone was saying that grunge apparently is going to be coming back. Now we're going to have a podcast talking
trying
about grunge
to come back for the past while, I think.
So it's and like popular. So I think we were looking at a couple of documentaries about grunge a while because we're going to be doing an episode on it, and we were looking at stuff about like Kurt Cobain's death and stuff, and we were kind of saying you need something like grunge to happen. There needs to be something like that to save music.
Exactly.
I think.
You need to palate cleanse, I think, all of the shit that's
I'm not saying
through.
like grunge, but like the way grunge kind of had an impact in the 90s. I think you need something like that now. And I think Taylor Swift, it could be like...
She's like the glossier version of grunge, I suppose.
But leading into it, you know, bringing people into it. Where once you do get people that going out buying records and buying stuff. And there's a lot of people, I think, that they're like female singer-songwriters that are out there that I think would be a little bit similar to Taylor Swift, but are... a bit darker. There's I don't know if anyone or listen to, if you like Taylor Swift, I think Ethel Cain. I think I played it for you before, where it's like a dark
Taylor Swift,
very dark Taylor Swift. I think that people that like Taylor would kind of, I think there's a progression to someone like that. Now Ethel Cain, read up on her yourself, she's fucking another story completely, like but it's, you know, I think there's artists out there like that people probably years ago would never have even fucking looked at that are getting
they're getting their taste of fame now, I suppose, or their moment in the sun and all the rest. But as I said, it's nice to see younger people like being enthused about music and following through as well as it. Like, I mean, again, you know, sort of you're listening to Swifties and they're like, oh, this is my favourite album, and you can see then following on to that other album, she did this and she had this time in her career, and like they're following, so you know, it's a follow through. It's not just like, oh, I've heard one song, that's it, on to the next artist, throw away.
Well, that's the thing. I think people that probably, because it's very easy not to actually listen to someone and say, oh, it's shit, and what young people are into is a load of shit. Like every generation it always gets out, like, and I think it's always unfair. Like it's very unfair, because people are going to have their own things that they, you know, that's going to appeal to their generation. So from Taylor Swift is, well, I think she's after crossing the divide with a lot of different generations.
That's it, yeah. Now, again, I will have to be honest and say she wouldn't be my first cup of tea that I'd like, I must go and listen to a Taylor Swift album.
Yeah, I'm not going to like it.
But whereas before, if now I don't listen to the radio, mainstream radio, I have to admit that, but if the radio was on, if I heard Taylor Swift was coming up, I would have just turned it off without even a second thought. Now I might kind of go, sure, I'll listen to this. It's not so bad. I
think I'd listen to her when she has a new album coming out. I'd listen to the full new album. Like, I don't know why, like, I mean, but I really like the newer album. I think it was Midnight or Midnights. That one. So I would actually listen to it. I wouldn't, if it came down to someone who was like, right, you're going to listen to
Do you
either.
want Ulver or do you want Taylor Swift? Yeah.
I'm not going to be Taylor, but like, depending on the mood that I was in, I might be like, I'm in the mood to listen to Taylor Swift today.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it won't be going out buying any pint. Although you never know. It's all cheap.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah. The Swiftie phenomenon, I suppose. But again, like, I mean, everyone's like, oh, I don't understand the Swiftie phenomenon. It's been happening ever since people.
It's not like she's an overnight.
Exactly,
it's the woman's been around for like nearly 20 years.
It's people do that. You have, like, you've got the Kiss Army, you've got Beatlemania, you've got all this, like, sort of people just that, they get into their fanhood and they just enjoy it. So, like,
it's one of the things that I think she had going for her a lot coming up was, like, remember when she won the MTV Music Award and fucking Kanye and then there was other stuff with him again a while ago.
I think he interrupted her again or something.
He put like lyrics about her in a song. He said, she said it was alright, and about saying that, like, he made her career, like, and she was like, I didn't fucking say this was alright. I said you could say this, but you didn't say what you said you were going to say it. So she was like, I want you to retract that. But it's there was someone else kind of going on. I think it was Jay-Z was saying at some award, saying, kind of how come Beyonce hasn't kind of, and it's like, maybe she's just not that good,
That's it,
and as well, they're only awards anyway.
Exactly,
like,
that's if you have your fans, you have your fans. That's
who cares about awards, like, but it's but I think from that kind of that she was the underdog, everyone kind of around the world went, that poor fucking
I know, she was just like, innocently standing there waiting for her. I think she
was
award.
only 16 or 17
she was young at the time,
happened, like, and it really was. It was like, what a piece of shit.
A
goes
grown
up
man
takes,
jumping up, pushing a young girl out of the way to say, oh no, you're all right and all the rest, but Beyonce's better. It's like, no, sit down, Kanye, my God.
Yeah, it's fucking
sit down in
horrendous.
general,
but I think people kind of from that point were like, it was like, I'm gonna, she was the underdog. Everyone likes an underdog to it, and I think there's still that aspect to her that people kind of, because there's always seems to be someone giving out about her, or something kind of happens, but I suppose winding up, I don't know if you got to this far, like, thanks very much for listening.
Shake it off.
Yeah, but I hope it was pleasantly surprising, our opinions.
Couple of Gen Xers, Zennials kind of actually. Look, music of the youth today isn't all that bad.
Well, most of it is shit.
Anyway.
Hippity hop stuff. But look, thank you for listening. Go over to our Instagram, give us a like, subscribe. If you can, leave a review. The reviews would be the great help us get kind of like,
or tell us what you think about Taylor Swift, which would be great.
Yeah. Unless it's kind of, I want to kill her.
Please don't comment that. Don't comment that about anyone.
But thanks for listening. Until next week, Reeve Torchy.